What's up, guys? Today we're going to take a look at something that Kchak, one of the richest players I know of, that's has a public profile. He just made a video about covering the idea of long-term investment in WoW, essentially, which is can be really profitable. It has been for me. It has been for him. So he's a really dedicated guy to gold making and to a lot of things. I'm not. I'm the lazy gold maker. So how do we make this work for someone who doesn't want to play the auction house and try to manipulate the market across every realm on a region, and who doesn't have 18 million gold lying around, which is what he did for this specific investment, which is the Korthia, the shoulders from Korthia, the shoulder transmog there. So the video, I'm not going to cover too much what he talks about, but the general idea is it's super profitable to buy items that have peak supply, and that's going to continue having high demand, which generally means cosmetic items, around when they're current content. So anything that's dropping right now from like killing random mobs in Serelek Caverns, if it's still going to be cool in 2 years' time, then that's something that's very likely to go up significantly in value over time. That's the general idea. Now, his approach is to buy 10,000 transmog. That's something he talks about in this video. But that's not reasonable for most of us. Either we don't have the gold, we don't want to do it, we're too lazy. Well, that's me. So what are we going to do then? What are we going to do? So the way I like to do this kind of stuff is to find a way where I can just engage with it entirely through Trade Skill Master. So I can make some purchasing operations, I can make some auctioning operations, and then I don't have to think. I can just run shopping scans and sell stuff, and I don't have to track stuff in a outside the game spreadsheet. I don't have to spend loads of time looking at Orbos Exchange or Undermine Journal external price sources. I can just rely on my settings that I have vetted, that I have tested out, and that I'm fairly certain work for me, and rely on those. That's where I want to get, right? So how are we going to do this with a long-term market? These are, by the way, my results from buying BFA gear, Island Expedition gear at the end of BFA. We can see that there are some absolutely ludicrous profit margins here, including 1800% on the Razorfin War Boots. Or how about Wild Marauder gloves, which I've bought 3 of for 950 gold each, and I've sold 1 for 25,000. So that one paid for all the others and then a lot left over. So obviously this idea can work incredibly well, right? Just looking at this. If you can buy items that have long-term value at the right time, then you can make a lot of gold long-term, because, well, no one's doing Island Expedition, no one's farming this gear, so the price is just going up because, I mean, it's still pretty cool transmog. It's still pretty cool transmog. So the way I did it is I just started treating this like a flipping market, like something I was engaging in on a regular basis. So I made a group. I think it still exists. I have my group Island Expedition gear. And I just started buying them with a normal type flipping operation where you're trying to buy at some relatively cheap price. You're trying to buy at some cheap multiple of the market value. This one is a little bit involved because we're using both market value and region market value. If you're doing this right now, I suggest only relying on the region market value, because you can trade stuff cross-realm, so region market is where you are. So maybe you can do something than just like 80-70% region market value. If it's cheaper than that, then you're going to buy it. And then you're going to repost it if that's profitable. So how would you do that? Then you need a operation like my Island Expedition one. This one is great basic flipping operation. The max minimum price is either going to be the highest out of 50% of the market value. So I'm willing to sell this fairly cheap compared to the market value, as long as it's also at least 25% more than I bought the item for. This means you're going to keep posting even if the price goes up significantly. Obviously, you can change this to something else if you want to. You can have this to 100%. You can have it based on region market value. But the important part is to have a max one. So it's going to choose the highest out of these two. So that means that if 50% of the market value is less than your desired profit, then you're not going to post. And obviously, if the minimum price is too low, then you want to set this to don't post, so you don't waste deposit costs just keeping stuff on the auction house unless you need to. Now this works really well. if you don't have that many items. I mean, this doesn't work well at all if you have 10,000 items like K-Check has, then you have to manage guild banks and stick them there and stuff. If you buy maybe 10, 20 items, 30 items on a realm, then this is going to work pretty well. You can just keep them in your bags. You can maybe just put them on one dedicated transmog banker that you just post on every 24 hours, every 48 hours, and then leave alone outside of that so it doesn't interfere if you're doing current expansion markets. That's how I would do it. And then you can just keep doing that. Now, obviously, there are some downsides to this approach as well. And the main one is that you might risk selling your item. Because if you can post it for more than 25% profit, then you might end up selling your item in 3 weeks' time for 25% profit. Instead of selling it 2 years down the line for 500% profit. But I mean, you're making a profit either way. So I don't think that's too bad of a downside. And you can always, if that's something you're worried about, then you can set this to, okay, I want to double my gold with this specific investment. Then you set the average buy to 200%. Or you want to triple your gold, then you can set this to 300%. Anything is going to work. It doesn't matter. You can play around with this as you like. Obviously, we're going to have the import link. It's going to be linked in the blog post and the video description, so you can get these operations and play around with them yourself. So yeah, that's sort of that's how I would approach it. Just add them to a group, any items. I haven't even done a deep dive on what items exist in Dragonflight that fit these sort of criteria. You're specifically looking for something that's fairly rare or fairly hard to get, and something that drops from some form of content that people are continuously doing right now. So Sarlacc Cavern stuff. And then hopefully it's not going to be something... You could buy the greens that drop from Sarlacc Cavern, but they're extremely abundant. But they're very, very cheap, and they look fairly cool. So that's something that could go up in value eventually when people stop going to Sarlacc Caverns. But obviously you're going to be looking for more rare items if you can. Now, playing the game actively or searching for transmog, that's going to help you find these types of items, whether it's now or in a future patch. But once you know of an item, maybe you find one, maybe you just know of, okay, I know about this one rare cool transmog, then there's something you can do to find similar items. So you can use the Wowhead search or the item database query of Wowhead. This one is a fantastic tool, by the way. So we're going to use K-Check's example, the cosmetic items that drop in Korthia. So we can then choose a cosmetic item. And we're going to pick a zone, because we know that these are items from a zone, and then we're going to obviously have only bind on equip. We don't want bind on pickup, because you can't sell them on the auction house. And now we can see that there's 4 of these, and then, okay, maybe you found that you're looking for stuff that drops in Sarlacc Caverns and is cosmetic, or maybe not cosmetic. Maybe we have to look for gear. Or if you know about an item, okay, I found this item, this dropped from a specific rare. Okay, maybe there's other items that drop from rare. We can see that there's no cosmetic items from Sarlacc Caverns, so we didn't find anything there. Obviously, you can be looking for items, or you can, like this, or you can utilize any knowledge you have, anything you've seen in game. Be like, I wonder if there are more items like this, then I should check for them. You can get them. Then you can find similar items, you can add them to the group, and then you can treat them as sort of a steady state flipping market, just trying to stock up. If you have a lot of extra gold and you're willing to take the risk, then you can just keep overstocking and be like, okay, I'm just going to buy more, because I expect that this is going to be, if it's going to be cosmetic, then it's going to have value long term. And also, long term, the amount of gold in the game, you know where that's going? It's going in one direction, it's going up. It's going up. Why? Because when I go out and I do my daily stuff in World of Warcraft, whatever that is, I'm going to end up with more gold than I started with, unless I trade with other players. If you go out, you do, or unless you're wiping for a really long time in Mythic Plus or something, and maybe you manage to rack up more repair fees than you actually end up looting. But in general, you're going to make gold. Even if it's a small amount, almost everything you do adds gold into the gold supply, adds gold to the player base. There's more gold available every day on average. Even if it's not as much this expansion as it has been in the past, gold is being added. We're getting more and more gold. So anything that's going to keep value, anything that's going to have the same usefulness or still be cool a year down the line, 2 years down the line, it's going to go up in value if people are going to farm it less. And those items are Great.